We probably need to plug it in now.
Good? Okay. All right, it's 5:30 and I think we're gathered here for our workshop on the plaza. So we will go ahead and get started. And we can just start with we'll do a roll call, make sure we're all here. Take a vote.
Okay. Cox,
Here.
Crampton,
Here.
Grisbeck. Here. Johnson,
Here.
Merker,
Here.
Robertson,
Here.
Slavin.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. We're here to have a workshop about the rezoning issue at the plaza. We decided to have a public workshop to hear your thoughts, gather everybody here about any questions, issues. We brought our city planner, we have our attorney here, some experts that may be able to answer some questions for you. So we thought we would have anybody that wants to come up and speak. You're welcome to come up to the podium. Just state your name and your address. We're here tonight to talk about the rezoning issue of the property, not so much any kind of business or site plan that's gonna go in there. It's about the rezoning. That is the decision that's to be made on that property. I know we're all frustrated with that corner, but I wanted to make sure the public had an opportunity also. I know they had an opportunity at the planning commission meeting, but I wanted to have one more opportunity too before council takes this with them to make a decision also. So if everybody could please silence their phones and we could get started. We have an hour, so I want to make sure everybody that is able to talk has a chance to talk. So with that, I'm going to invite John Wasner up first because he was our chairman for the Planning Commission, and he's going to give a review of the Planning Commission's recommendation first to start off with, and then we'll go to the public.
Good morning,
No,
good
you don't have to.
afternoon.
We're good.
John Wasner, 23832 here on River Drive. I was the chairperson of the Planning Commission meeting that took place on July 9th. The sole purpose of the meeting was to make a recommendation to the City Council to either approve or deny a request to change the zoning on the Rockwood Plaza from a B2 to a B3. If the city approves the change, it allows for what is termed vehicle-friendly business. Some examples are drive-in banks, fast food restaurants, gas stations, large retail department stores, and health and fitness clubs. Any of those potential businesses were not on the agenda, just the rezoning. In the last two recent surveys of what was recent surveys, the public on what they would like to see happen in the city was large businesses come into the plaza. After listening to the city planner and investors at the meeting, one of the first questions asked by potential new businesses, what is the zoning? Many do not want to go through the time and expense of rezoning a process before they can make a proposal. In the master plan, in one part it says, encourage and continue investment in the Rockwood Plaza with an eye towards improving its aesthetic quality, economic viability, and pedestrian friendliness. It also says for appropriate land uses, retail businesses of all types should be encouraged in the plaza. After listening to the review from the city planner, the potential investor, and the plaza owner, 3 letters were read from concerned citizens that couldn't be at the meeting. After letting anyone in attendance speak, a vote was taken. The vote was 3-2 to recommend to rezone from B2 to B3 to the city council for their action. Any steps taken after that would be an application from a planner, or from a comprehensive and professional site plan with a building size, parking, setback, and landscaping, among other things. There would be a public hearing, and then specific city standards for the safety and welfare for the city would be taking place before it would be anything more considered on it. So
Okay.
that's what I have.
Any questions, concerns from council first on the review?
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
My understanding is this would be contrary to the current plan,
No, what plan?
the city master plan.
I just read from you. I read 2 quotes from the master plan. To encourage retail development. Gas station is retail.
So this is in accord with the current master plan. This change would be in accord with that current master plan.
Yes. Well, It doesn't specifically say anything that could be there. There were concepts put in the master plan, if you looked at it. They were gonna put 2 whole new buildings in there between the front, the existing row and the road. Some of these in the master plan were pipe dreams from the planner when they made the master plan. A gas station comes under consideration between the zoning. That's what we're after. That's what the potential investor was looking at, to rezone it, to develop it, whether it be a business school, department store, whatever, that needed to take place.
I'm not sure of your answer. So the master plan has what you would describe as a pipe dream.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty silly.
And so your proposal is to change from the pipe dream to something else.
No, you're not gonna, we're not, a lot of things that they're proposed in the master plan, we have no way of taking place. They propose parking across Fort Street. So there's different things. There are good concepts in here, yes, to us, for us to follow. We've had a voice in the master plan. In addition to that, the planners put in other potential developments that might take place to make this more enhancing or whatever. We know from past practice for as many years as the city's been around, some of these are not realistic. Paving the streets all the way on here in River Drive, that's not realistic. Different things like that. So that's what I'm saying. So in concept, retail business was encouraged on a master plan for the plaza, bottom line.
The master plan is a guide. It's, am I right, Dave? It's a guide. It's not something concrete that you have to follow. It's a guide, and it's a function of the planning commission.
I'd like to add that this entire council voted to approve the updated master plan with no changes. Prior to that, Mr. Wozner has sat on city council for multiple years through multiple city plans and has made no objection to anything on there. So us as a council have approved this plan with no changes. So at that time, that would have been a good time to say this is all a pipe dream. Let's take a look at it again and see, maybe could we take this out, maybe could we put this in, maybe we need a review of the review. But as council, we passed it several times. This plan, twice.
Well,
Well, the reason that happened is because there's nobody's come, with the surveys that were taken, there was nothing earth-shattering that could be anything to do with the city. It was all basically the same type of plan. When we looked at it, first of all, it wasn't in the city budget, but second of all, we couldn't find a planner that would do it because the city was so small. They didn't want it. They finally gave a price and it was so exorbitant that it was not worth the effort if we're not gonna make any considerable changes to the master plan.
Correct, yes. So we passed it because it was too expensive to get a new review and we were happy with the results.
With the survey results, yes, showing that they would like more development, yes, everybody would, something to get your taxes down, but. And to do that in that plaza, it needs a new rezoning, potential rezoning.
I actually had a little bit of a question about that because you said that the logic in favor of the rezoning was that it would enable a gas station, and a gas station is retail business that is called for in the master plan. But wouldn't using that logic also be an example of ruling on a plan or a prospect of a plan rather than the zoning itself?
Certain potential businesses will face further scrutiny. And this is potentially one of them that could potentially have more scrutiny because of the distance from the gas station to St. Mary's. It's supposed to be 300 yards. To get, the pumps and the canopy, there is a specific in the city ordinance zone that limits the distance that these can be with. And it also spells out different traffic patterns, ingress, egress, state laws as far as the storage of tanks and stuff for the environment control, emissions from the pumps itself. So there are a lot of regulations that gas stations would have to go through, whereas if as is would follow for a department store or something like that in there, would not fall into more regulations. That answer your question, sir?
It kind of went in its own tangent because I was just wondering where the line was, because I've been digging through this thing since like early July, and I was just trying to figure out, because the key of it is that this is supposed to only be a decision on zoning, not any plan, not any given specific business. But regardless of who is doing the talking, it's like I constantly see it go all over, of where, oh, we have to talk about this or this type of business or such, and that didn't seem germane to the actual zoning question.
Our planning mission was, the only function we had was to actually recommend rezoning it. No businesses were discussed. They were discussed, but they were not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Just came up from potential people that heard different rumors or things said or whatever. We were not ruling on that. We were recommending, and we weren't ruling, we were gonna recommend to city council that it be rezoned. Anything after that, proposed business would go under the city scrutiny as far as whether they wanted it to happen or not, and what regulations would take place to allow that business or not allow it to take place. It's a whole separate process. This was just strictly to the rezone, not saying yes to a business.
Okay, so in that regard, the prospect of businesses does weigh into the decision to rezone.
I'm sorry, what was that?
So the prospect of businesses does weigh into the consideration of rezoning. So
Well, sure, that's the whole idea of rezoning, yes, is to allow bigger businesses in.
Just so the public understands, and Dave, maybe you can expound on this, a B2 is smaller businesses, a B3 is gonna allow larger businesses to come in. I'll let Dave expound.
yeah.
They're pretty similar, B2 and B3, in terms of retail and things. In the broadest sense, a B3 is gonna allow more, like drive-through, something that's more vehicle
Driver-oriented.
intensive than walkable. Though they both allow the same uses, anything in a B2 can go to B3. So that could be transferred, it's just you're allowing drive-through gas pumps in this case, if you're talking gas station. If a bank gets a drive-through.
And
Car washes, hotels,
wash.
things like that.
And I'd like to just, honestly, I would just like to pump the brakes for just a second, because typically the way this process works is, I've seen it in other cities, I've been doing my research, I've visited other municipalities over the last year, I've sat through their council meetings and their planning sessions, and usually what happens is a business comes to the planning commission with a promise and says, under these conditions, if you're willing to rezone, we have a commitment for you. And that is then how the planning commission rules on something, when they have a commitment written in paper or something like that. And then they say, this is fantastic. This is a concrete plan that I can bring to council. Wonderful. They'll say yes or no. If they don't like it, you'll go back and put 5 more bushes in, 3 more houses. We'll make the color of the building a different color, whatever it may be. But here's a plan to give to council for the reason of rezoning. This seems that we're doing it backwards, that we're saying, hey, we just want to rezone this area for no reason. We have no commitment. We have no financial commitment. We have no contract. So what we're doing is we're saying, we don't care. We'll just rezone it for any reason at all, because at this moment we have no reason. We have no commitment from the planning commission or from the business that gave us some sort of verbal, ideas, a picture, an AI sketch, which doesn't matter. So ultimately it is, what is the reason that we are rezoning this, the concrete reason? If it is such that you said that it could potentially offer things, you go back to what councilman is saying, is that we should have a reason to rezone. So if B2 and B3 are similar, then what is the purpose of rezoning? And what I would like to see as a council is that the planning commission bring an actual plan to the city for that property. And then we can talk on that instead of rezoning it and then seeing what happens with that property.
That's called something totally different. It's called a conditional rezone.
That's
which
not
they-
true,
it
Mayor,
is
that's not true.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, there's two different types of rezonings. One is traditional rezoning. And a traditional rezoning, you look at the master plan to see if it aligns with the master plan with the future. Conceptually, someone can tell you they're doing this, you're doing a certain type of development. 99% of the time they can do it, but there's always a possibility they get the last minute, they can pull that site plan out, and then you're open to whatever use is
Sure.
in that plan.
Sure.
Now, there's a separate process that wasn't discussed yet, or at least brought forward to the planning commission, is conditional rezoning. And I think that's where you're aiming at, where someone can come in with a plan, they can put conditions on that rezoning. It's a totally valid, it's in your ordinance right now, I got a section in front of me right now that allows them to do sort of what you want. The applicant has not come forward with that type of rezoning. Although discussed earlier, he came with traditional rezoning.
And we cannot go to the applicant and ask for this stuff, right? He has to
I,
come to us.
conditional rezoning is he needs to change his,
Application,
application
they
to
come to
show
us.
conditional,
We
he
can't go to
comes
him.
through and he offers, like say comes in, I wanna do this, this, and this, I'm offering to put enhanced landscaping in, or keep some, lights to the front of the site, or something like that, and then,
We can't mandate things to him. We've
but he can come in
talked to
and you
legal.
can, yes or no.
Right, right, but,
Yeah.
so I guess my point is, in that instance, so if we're not gonna do a conditional rezoning, I guess the question is why are we considering this? Because someone asked us to?
Yes,
Okay. And
Yes,
that,
bottom
that's
line.
where I digress. Only because, in my opinion, the way I interpreted this city plan, because we have the city master plan, I believe we should follow it. And so, I mean,
In a conditional rezone, like you said, would, shrubbery and there would be certain things, but it doesn't change the fact that would still elevate to a B3 and those businesses could still be allowed to come in here, gas station, things like
And
that.
well, he actually, a conditional rezoning, you could say, I'm coming here for the purpose of a service station.
Right.
And that's part of his condition.
Doesn't
If any of
change.
that changes in the future, then they have to start the whole process over again.
well, maybe that's something, again, that we could consider. I'm not, is a conditional rezoning since at this point in time, we would be putting into question our downtown district, which is what the B2 is essentially according to this master plan. We're risking our downtown district, basically. We're rezoning it. It could do something, it could not do something. But again, we just go back to the purpose or the point of rezoning. And so again, the thing that I look at is the master plan myself, which is what I've been asked to guide my decisions as a council member. So, and
well, just listening to the investor at the last planning commission meeting, a lot of companies don't want to go to the expense of making all these engineering plans and site plans and blueprints and everything else that covers everything that they would have in that development, and then not be able to put it to use. Those
yes,
plans are very expensive to pay an engineer to do
Sure.
all that stuff. So I think they were just, this instance, they were looking for some reassurance that our plans would be considered. As a B2, it wouldn't even be considered.
Really, yeah, I don't know if it's questions or clarifications. So I understand it right now from what people are saying. There's two different types of zoning. There's either what's before us, yes, no,
Traditional,
or the other one.
conditional,
And that depends on what the person who is asking for the rezoning asks us to do.
yes.
Okay. And from some statements you were making, it sounded to me like you were saying that we could rezone, and then if they wanted to do anything with the property, they had to come back to us. Other people are telling me, once we rezone, they can pretty much, within the zoning rules, do what they please. They don't have to come back to us a second time.
No, they've gotta come back for approval.
I think with a miscommunication is they have to come back, once you rezone it, they have to come in with a plan that matches whatever zoning categories it is, and they have to go through the formal site plan review process with the planning commission. That's where we talk about access and walkways and landscaping and lighting and facades, a whole litany of things. You've all seen it before. And so that's why I think Mr. Wasmer was saying was when they come back, they have to come back in front of the commission.
So no matter what they want to do with that site, if we rezone, no matter what they want to do with that site, they have to come back for approval from us again,
Correct.
no matter
Site
what they
plan.
want to do.
Site plan approval, yes.
And then we can put conditions on.
city council can.
You
Within
can,
reason,
you can
right?
put conditions that fall within the ordinance.
Within the B3,
At
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
at
So-
that point.
So you can't stop a gas
You
station.
can't
Yes,
just
can't
stop
stop a
them
business.
You can't stop a
without
gas
any
station
reason.
if they come back with that.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, put it bluntly, if we make a zoning change and they say we wanna put a gas station in, they don't have to come back for our approval, right?
They only have to come back. I think what he's asking is that they would only have to
Compliance
come
with
back
B3.
to just show that their site plan
Fits in our
fulfills
ordinance.
within the ordinances.
Fulfills the B3 ordinance, yes.
They don't have to get approval for the gas station necessarily, they have to get approval for the site plan, which the only way you could reject it is if it doesn't comport with ordinances, state law, all the requirements. But if they can satisfy all the requirements, then you can't just for no reason say, no, we decided we don't want a gas station. Yes, that's the difference right now. So it makes the process for them to do that easier, I would say, if it's just zoned B3, rather than if it's at B2 and they make it, and they want a conditional rezoning type thing.
I want to get into the, I'm sorry.
But I'm sorry, just one other question, or maybe somebody from the planning commission can kind of briefly describe some pros and cons, I guess, on leaving it as it is, and what are some pros and cons, and then just to get an understanding of, where it's at now, right? We know where it's at now.
Yeah.
So from a planning commission's perspective, it was passed there and then brought here. So there was a reason why it was brought here. So can you share some of those?
Did you want?
Well, we can't approve it, you approve it.
Right, so there has to be some pros, right? So the planning commission weighted
Yes.
it
Yes.
versus what it is now. So can you share the advantages to the city? Why was it brought here? What are those advantages, I guess?
Because people wanted larger development in that plaza. And investors wanted the opportunity or the right to put something bigger in it, not necessarily a gas station. It could be all kinds of things. It could be a restaurant. It could be a larger store. In the surveys, people wanted an Aldi or wanted, they wouldn't come in here the way it's zoned right now. It's not big enough.
Correct.
So that was the whole potential investors coming in. The other three corners are already B3.
So it was really an opportunity. That's kind of what I'm hearing, right? It was kind of an opportunity, right?
It would reduce one step that they would have to go through, the business to go through, to potentially look at making an investment in that corner.
Okay.
It gives them more options. If we rezone,
Yeah.
it gives the buyer more options.
Opportunity is the key word, I think. Yes.
Yeah, right. Opens up more opportunities for the use of the property.
Yes.
It could potentially attract other businesses.
Yes.
Okay.
Coffee shops.
Yes.
things like that.
Yeah. So from a downtown district, the only concern really would be the additional traffic. That's what we're really saying there, right?
Well,
I mean, which could be a con or a negative effect, right? If we wanted to keep the downtown walkable area, that could be a potential negative.
a lot of things could be, yes.
Yes,
But,
okay.
yes. We didn't, like I said, we didn't get into specifics, and like I say, there are a lot of zoning laws for a gas station that would take effect. As
Right.
far as how far it's gotta be away from businesses, from schools, churches, type of thing. What's the impact on the traffic flow on Fourth Street and Huron River Drive? There are a lot of more things that need to be I's dotted and T's crossed than a general enlargement of a store.
And to clarify, this is the only B2 in the city of Rockwood, in the downtown area,
On those.
on the four corners. So then if we remove the B2, it would be all B3. And does that affect, in your opinion, I guess my question is when this plan was made, they thought, well, we need a B2. Because they put one in there, right? Or there was one included for the downtown area, right? And so, again, I just continue to go back to that, saying like, this is, the master plan, they said, well, this is our downtown district. So then rezoning it to a B3 no longer allows it to be a downtown district, or it does?
Oh, sure it does, yeah. And you hope to encourage businesses that would follow that path. But you still can restrict the flow, the aesthetics of the place, how it's decorated, the landscaping, the berm, lighting, it's all comes under planning.
But I think you said, if I heard you correctly, you said that you would hope that they would continue the downtown district feel, right? But they could, again, they could remove that plaza and put in a gas station, right? So then you lose all that retail, you lose 5 or 6 retail shops, and then, you know, because again, we lose control once we rezone it to a B3.
I don't know if we lose control, but,
You might lose some decision-making because I think you're right, it would make it, like you said, it would be a first step that would make it easier for them to propose some type of different thing that, yeah, may only be one business or something different than that. So yes, I would agree with that it makes it.
and I would think that the B2, I'm just speculating, when urban renewal went in back in the 60s or 70s, I was not part of that. And they took a lot of houses along Church Street and everything else and built the plaza. That could have been when it was made a B2, I don't know, but you could go that far back. And somewhere in the process, the other corners might have been updated to a B3. When Rite Aid had a drive-in, it had to be a B3 for it. So, I don't know.
Wasn't that
Goes back pretty far.
wasn't that a gas station before Rite Aid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When that, of course, needs a B3.
And that's one thing that planning looks at, is the businesses overemphasized by numbers of businesses doing business here, certain businesses.
Okay.
So what's the impact of, per se, another gas station with already 2 in the city?
Okay.
That's something that's looked at also.
So that is a valid concern to weigh when making a decision on zoning, or during which decision-making
Approval
process?
for the station, so.
But you're saying if they come with a gas station, we cannot deny that gas station. We can only deny changes to the plan of the gas station. Do I understand that correctly?
If
Has to
it
follow the ordinance. What we
it
have in the
follows the
city.
zoning laws.
Right.
It
Zoning
is-
laws have a lot of precedence, because it is too.
No,
close
I
to
know
the
what you were
church.
saying. I know what you were saying, if it's too close to the church, or, you know, if it's, you know, semantics with that. But essentially, if they said they wanted to put in a Tesla charging station or something there, you know, I'm just making something up. You can't say no to that as long as it follows the ordinance of a B3. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's the way I
Even
hear
if
it.
there was a
Okay.
bunch of others already in the city.
Correct.
That's correct.
Another dollar, you know, another $3 general.
I'd like to get some.
Yeah.
public
Sorry.
comment. Come on, step on up, man.
Yeah.
I really wanna get the
Thank you.
public
We really
involved.
should have had more than an hour.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
my name is Sarah Rupert, I'm at 22544 Candace. I have to agree with you, once it gets changed ordinance, they put in a gas station, you're limited to what you're gonna be able to approve and not approve. Gibraltar right now is going through a lawsuit. I'm probably sure all of you are aware of it. So when you change the ordinance, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're limited of what you're gonna be able to do. There's already people that are discussing a gas station for sure going there. He's already put out a blueprint plan of what he wants to do in the gas station. So I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I personally, I am highly against it. I think having multiple different stores in the area is way better than another gas station. We have 2 already, we don't need a 3rd. As far as putting in the pumps, the distance, like you said, the distance on how far the pumps have to be away from public. In my very younger years, I worked at Total Gas Station, which was on the corner where the dollar store is. There was houses right behind that, literally within yards. Yeah, so as far as what the ordinance are gonna be, trust me, they can twist them as many ways as they want to get that gas station in there. I am totally against it. The gentleman that has owned that property for a long time has never upkept it. Back when it was the DNC 5 and dime, back when, I mean, cause I've been in this, my family's been in this city village since the 1800s, okay? I'm telling you, it's not a good idea. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in and let you guys know that there's a lot of residents that I've spoke to, they're all against it. The traffic would be horrendous, especially we already have silica sand, the trucks from that we've had the trucks increasing. It took me 20 minutes to get out of 7-Eleven because of the semis that were coming down here in River Drive, not from Silica, from the highway. So I don't know what's going on or what's being allowed to go on anymore, but it's getting out of control. And if we put another gas station in, I believe it's gonna be a lot worse. So.
Thank you, I appreciate
Thank
the
you.
comments.
Thank you.
Okay, come on up, ma'am. What was your first name, ma'am?
Sarah.
Sarah.
I just, I got her address, I just.
I
Come on
forgot to
up.
wear my parka.
I
I'm here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Tammy Hurst, 22202 here on River Drive. I just took some notes while he was talking. That's the whole thing. If you look at any kind of rules, is that you have to go by the city plan, the master plan. Okay? I looked at it a couple months ago as well. It's, I don't know how many pages, 25 pages or something. A couple of the pages list specifically every kind of business you can think of, and there's a check mark whether you should have one or you don't need one here because of how many you already have and the population. And so you should have that page, and the gas station, I'm sure there's a check mark that says no, don't need one. So I don't understand, and I don't understand why we keep on deflecting and saying that it's only about changing the zoning. That's hogwash. The guy from the gas station sat right there. That's exactly what they're gonna do, so don't keep spinning it, okay? That's what they wanna do. And all of these, I don't think they're gonna come, but I don't think it falls under a B3. It's a retail. I think that they could put in a larger store that's a retail under B3, a B2 I mean. The B3 simply is the automotive. Whether you're gonna put in a drive-through or you're going to put in a gas station. So I think that you're saying that wrong to the public too. A large retail is gonna be fine under a B2, I'm pretty sure. The other thing about the city plan, and he actually used it as a reasoning, doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It says
I apparently
more
gave away
friendly
my
to
copies.
pedestrians. How
Thanks.
is a gas station with more trucks gonna be more friendly to pedestrians? We have the Rockwood Housing down the street. My cousin, who is mentally challenged, lives in that building. He doesn't have a driver's license, as in most of them, and walks here to the Marco's, the dollar store, whatever. We don't need more truck traffic. And you should consider those residents, even if they aren't big taxpayers, that they're here and their livelihood, and certainly mine as my business, will be impacted. I've had to deal with truck drivers and trucks because my property at the barbershop, it's almost landlocked where the Mercure, he's not here. It's almost landlocked where I have to use that alley to get back there and park behind my shop. And the trucks, just truck drivers, they don't know, there's no boundaries, there's no lines, they take liberty. So they will park their truck and block our cars in. They'll park their truck right next to my building, which is not the property of Mr. Kuza's. It's the property of Dan Mercure's. And they'll drive through the parking lot of Dan Mercure's with their heavy load over our asphalt too, just because it's convenient, and then they'll circle around and they'll do different things. So no, I don't need any more of that. I'm against it for that and the purpose that we don't need another gas station, and you don't know what their really intention is gonna be. We already got 2 brothers that are in prison for, we know, $15 million worth of fraud. So I don't care, guilt by association. The guy's never done anything good for this law.
Anybody else wanna step up? Anybody else have any comments from the public there?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Mercure, 21710 Washington Street. I am on the Planning Commission. I made the motion to pass this along to the council. Just a couple of things that I used as rationale, we have a situation where we have two large sections of our plaza that are vacant. And I considered the owner, and I don't even know his name. You mentioned
Ray Kuza.
Ray. Ray, he's a landlord, he's a businessman also. He needs tenants in there to pay rent, so he can pay taxes and he can, you know, do what he has to do for the building. And I looked at that, and if we keep not letting people come in, and this change seemed reasonable to me, and I'm looking at the fact that we could wind up with a Flat Rock situation. Look at over on Telegraph Road where Aldi's is. That was vacant for 20 years or more. Flat Rock did not have a grocery store until Meijer went in. And then also in Flat Rock, we could have the same situation across from St. Roch's Church, where the A&P used to be at the time. It was vacant for probably more than 20 years. It's doing better now, but we have an opportunity. We have a gentleman that wants to come into the town and spend some money, and this is regardless of the zoning change is what we're talking about. But he wants to bring something in and spend some money and bring some activity into the building, or into the city. And I, like I say, for the reasons I mentioned, for Ray he could say, I'm walking away from it, and we would have a vacant building. But the businesses that were in there tried to make a go of it. The pet shop and other grocery store, Food Town, they had to leave when, you know, for various reasons in the past. But I think it's given us an opportunity to bring somebody in, if somebody wants to come in and do something. As far as the gas station goes, there are so many changes to the rules that a gas station would be very safe today. You know, and just for people to know, recall, at one time we had 5 gas stations in the city of Rockwood. We did not have the new homes on the east side of town, new homes on the west side of town. And there were 5 gas stations here. I worked at 3
How
of
many
them. I know
pumps?
it pumped gas.
How many pumps total?
How come there's only 2 now though?
Yeah, because they
I
have
don't
several
know, I don't
pumps.
know them.
The 2 gas stations have
But
how many pumps?
that's where I'm at, and
The 5 gas
I'm not gonna
stations
debate
have 2
with.
pumps.
Yeah, we're
No
not.
problem. Thank you for letting me speak tonight, thank you.
Yeah, come on up, sir.
My name's Robert Rupert, and I'm on Kansas also with my wife. But what he just said about Ray, I don't know what the gentleman is, and he said that, you know, they're lacking tenants up there, of course. But maybe if he would have taken, he wants to invest money now, but what if why hasn't he invested money over the last 20-something years to improve that place? And then maybe somebody would want to rent in there, another small business. As far as I'm concerned, he's let that place go right down the tubes. It looks like it doesn't look very well. But so maybe he should take some of his investment money and put in that place to make it decent like it used to be years ago, and then he might get some tenants in there. That's what I want. He should do something with what he's got now, and we all know that he's here because he wants to put a gas station there. I think everybody knows that. You guys approve it. He's going to do the gas station with the stipulations of this and that, shrubbery or whatever. But it's going to be a gas station. You guys change it. He's going to tear that place down and put a gas station. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's,
Thank you for your comments.
one thing I.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Sir? Just,
I just
Tom
wanna.
Featherston, here on Meadows Drive. I'm just thinking, by changing that to a B3, you're not backing or considering the tenants that are in there now. If a gas station goes in there, he puts up a convenience store, there goes Marco's Pizza, there goes Subway, there goes just about anything that's left in there, if it even stays there, unless he tears it down. I'm also want to ask the question is, if you change the zoning, does that affect the value of the property? So,
No, I'm not an assessor to know that. I don't foresee it affecting the value of the property. I can see if an investment happens, it goes up, it's all based on if new investment happens.
Right.
Typically, I'm not an assessor though,
but
on this.
what I mean is, so if you change it to a B3, then all of a sudden this guy can sell it to somebody for $1 million. where it's not really worth that much, and he doesn't wanna put the money into it to even do anything to it. That, I've lived here 25 years, and I don't think anything's ever changed in that area. And I'm surprised some of the businesses that are even thriving the way they are. Like Marco's Pizza's been there forever, the
hair
little beauty
salon.
shop in
Sure.
there,
Yeah.
the
They have loyal customer
Subway
base,
seems
loyal
to be
customer
doing pretty
base.
good. You know, the Dollar General, not the, Dollar General
Sure.
is in there now. And those are all gonna go away, probably if that's a gas station now. I can't see how the logistics of that area would allow them to remain. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
The small comment I just wanted to add was to note there are actually currently 3 vacant plots in Rockwood Plaza. There is a office/medical suite that is right next to the Rockwood Deli that,
For 25 years, that little tiny spot.
yeah, a little tiny spot that,
As a phone store.
Well, it was
Yeah.
a phone store for a minute, yeah.
yeah, it's like you don't even
It was an
notice it,
ATM
easy
store.
to forget.
It's an ATM, so. Anybody else from the public? I just want to make sure everybody has a chance. We have 15 minutes left that wants to come up.
What about the gentleman there with Marcos? Do they wish to say anything?
I'm calling everybody. I'm not calling anybody else
Okay.
specifically.
Could I make an
You
additional
want
comment?
to reapproach?
It was mentioned a moment ago, about the tenants that are in the building now.
Sure.
Mr. Wasner mentioned that we received several letters from the tenants of the building, and every single one of them spoke in favor of going to a B3. They supported Ray on that, so, you know, and especially the lady that runs the hair salon. She did a beautiful job of a nice letter.
You said multiple letters?
Yeah, only heard one.
Yeah.
I,
There was
'cause
there
I
was
o-
multiple
I
letters?
watched the meeting
Yeah.
and took notes, and there was only one that I believe it was from the owner of the hair salon.
Yeah.
Do you have other?
3 letters that came in.
In favor?
No,
Two were against. one was
Okay.
for.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I was asking if you had other letters that I was not privy
Just
to.
one from the hair salon, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
The tanning salon, it was in person. They came in and spoke in favor of it.
Oh, in person.
In person?
Yeah, they
Okay,
were
okay.
here
I'm-
in person. There was
No,
somebody
he
else.
sat in this chair, he never got up. He didn't wanna say either way, the tanning salon.
But so ultimately, there's only one and multiple against.
There you go.
Right. Sure. Okay. Anybody else from the public? I want to make sure everybody gets their turn.
Just give your name.
Okay, let's go back to the council. Re-engage with the council. Questions, concerns, comments?
I just continue to say, you know, I just will reiterate that this is a big deal, council. This is,
Sure.
once we make this decision, you cannot really reverse it. I mean, you could under, you know, an act of God, but we have to really, this is a weighty decision, and we are asked to be loyal to the things that we are asked to serve when we took an oath of service, and that if we're gonna follow the rules or we're not sometimes, not when other things happen, you know, under certain circumstances, under strenuous circumstances, I could see something, but, you know, I'm in favor of following the master plan. I'm also, Mr. Mercure had said, you know, this is an opportunity for something to come in. It's also an opportunity for nothing to come in. It's also an opportunity for the property to be sold and sit vacant for years and years. There's always 2 sides of every story. So we have to consider that either something could come in or nothing could come in. What is the price of changing a B2 to B3 for the city of Rockwood? For the residents, for the quality of life, and for us as council members, you know, we have to do our diligence in making this decision.
I have one last question and statement to make.
The people at home can't hear you.
I got one comment and one statement to make. The situation that's going on with Gibraltar right now with the data center wanting to go in and they're being sued, the city's Gibraltar being sued because it's zoned a certain way is why they're being sued, and they don't want to allow the data center in. Well, guess what? They're not going to have a choice. They're going to lose. It's obvious. Okay, we've got Johnson Control, right? What if that goes out? do we have a property here where they could put a data center in?
We don't have a Johnson Control.
Well, what used to be
It's-
Johnson.
yes.
Right.
The property.
Yeah.
I'm saying, if there's big enough pieces of property and we zone for these properties to keep being changed, if these are zoned for something like that, could we be in the same situation as Gibraltar? That's one thing I wanna avoid at all costs. I live here and them data centers actually send out issues for miles. The last thing we want is something like that. If we change a zone, then it can be sold, then this can be switched over, and we just start letting that ball roll, and people say, well, you did it for them, you did it for them, you did it for them, and then you get into a lawsuit. That is something I think we need to avoid. We already have plans, let's just stick to what we have. We've already got 3 other corners that are D3s, right? And this is the one that isn't? Why don't we just keep the way it is?
The other 3 aren't being used as a B3 either. The hotel is no longer a hotel, it's a restaurant. The dollar store does not have a drive-through, and there's nothing on the third corner. In fact, the planning commission sat there at the meeting and said that they had once talked about changing them back to B2s, but then they just didn't get around to it.
So, I mean, I myself, I just don't want us to fall into the same situation that Gibraltar's in right now. I have a lot of family that live in Gibraltar, Rockwood, South Rockwood, Herzogs, Lezots, yeah, there's just too many of us, but anyway.
Well, we're thankful that you love Rockwood.
Yeah.
My grandmother came here in the 1800s, my great grandmother, so we've been here forever. I just don't wanna see anything like this happen. It's already enough issues, we don't need to open the door for something else. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could.
Yes.
Following along with Councilwoman Gray's comments. We're talking about the future. We don't know what the future is going to be. No matter what we decide on this issue, 5 years from now, we might either regret or praise ourselves. We just don't know what the future is going to bring. Either way we go, yes or no, I can give you a scenario which will be a positive one, and I can give you a scenario which will be a negative one. It's one of those almost,
Damage you do and damage you don't.
it's unwinnable because the future is unpredictable.
And again, I go back to saying it may not need to be predictable if we ask for conditional rezoning.
Which is not before us. That would have to be something that
Correct.
somebody would have to
But
come
you,
with.
but you could then say, they could come back and say, oh, well, if you turned this down and you're asking for conditional rezoning, we can make it predictable for you.
More predictable.
Yes, more predictable.
Never absolutely.
I actually had some procedural questions. So my understanding is that for the case of a conditional rezoning, that has to be initiated by the landowner.
Correct.
So we would be entirely reliant on them. Likewise, that if in that hypothetical that a request from them was rejected, they would have the option to come in with a slightly different request.
They'd have to start the process.
Yes, start the process
They
over.
have to submit another application.
Yeah, they are free
no
to
time frame. They
yeah,
can
they are
do it
free to
anytime.
submit another application.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Sir?
I would just like to say that the planning commission is not here to pick winners and losers. Our function is to promote businesses for the development of Rockwood, to increase tax bases, and for the betterment of the city. That's all we're here for, to make recommendations that happens. It's up to you guys to decide if that's how you wanna go with that development, whatever comes in. But we are here to try to grease the wheels as far as something coming in here and being functional to meet your requirements and the city's requirements according to the master plan and zoning and regular ordinances. So that's what we're here for. We're not saying, yes, we want this, no, we don't want this. We were after voting on the business district, not any business potentials. Just clarifying that. Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody
I speak again?
Sure.
A moment? If we have time, I believe we.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a little history on rezoning, in the master plan. The master plan is there as a guide that we could look at, a hope, or, you know, a desire that we'd have in the future. But we have changes that come along. What the property we're sitting on was rezoned. It was a big deal when it was rezoned. This whole strip from, the end of the block here, what used to be the hardware store, I don't know, you know, it's a residence now, and all the way to where the flower shop is. This was all rezoned. We didn't change the master plan when that was done. We had a situation where we had a cell tower in Commerce Park. That was a rezoning that we could put in there. We didn't change the master plan. I had a neighbor that was putting up a sign, and it went a couple feet over, because they had an existing pole, it went a couple feet over the limit, and they asked for input. We naturally, hey, we're gonna go for it, and that was a meeting that we had, I believe it was Planning Commission at that time. But I just want to add a few more things about the master plan and you know, the zoning and the rezoning requests that we would have. Thank you.
I got a question from the planning commission. So, from the master plan, has that plaza ever even come close to the master plan? Is it currently set, or is it in the past, has it ever come close to meeting the master plan?
The way the master plan envisions that plaza, I was just reading on that, is they want, the master plan for downtown, they want all the buildings pushed right up into the sidewalks. And nothing's gonna happen, that's a big change in buildings, I don't see that happening. The idea is worthwhile, I'm not gonna say anything at the idea is worthwhile, but the master plan did discuss two things. One, leaving it as is, the possibility of building two buildings right along 4th Street. And the other possibility was changing it to a planned development. Now, planned development has different components. You have 3 types of planned developments we looked at for Rockwood. One is all residential, one is all industrial, and one is we'll call mixed use. So I'm assuming at least the pictures they put in the master plan, it shows multi-story with commercial office on the first level.
Like a 4/1?
Like Wyandotte, like Lost,
Yeah, like, well, yeah,
retail,
like
if you look at
that,
it.
but that's based on just sketches I saw in the plan. And that's what we read, it was more pedestrian friendly. When I read the,
It's actually like 144 pages.
yeah, when I
if you look
read,
through it.
they made a lot of effort on the buildings themselves having glass right on the streets. Wider sidewalks, landscaping, sitting areas, seating areas for folks, so it was very walkable. And they aligned it either with a B2 or a planned development.
It's a bike path now. Isn't that a bike path now? Right along there?
You got a bike path in there.
Yeah, right through there, yeah.
It doesn't say, aligned with that doesn't mean a B3 couldn't get there. It's, I mean, it's a conundrum, that's what the council really got to deal with, we struggle with it too. It doesn't, just going B3 doesn't mean you're not gonna get the downtown, it's just, there are not as many requirements to do it that way. They can go alter a little bit. You catch some of it through the site plan.
Okay. Anything else? We're coming to our time.
Only thing I had was just a small comment, was that I had been hoping that Mr. Kuza, as well as his investor representative, Mr. Bozzi, would have shown up. But I guess unfortunately they could not make it.
They were contacted. So. Okay. Anything else from the public before we end the meeting? The only thing I'll say is council does have a hard job, as Marcy said. It's a very big decision. For years, everybody wants to see investment in the city. That was one of the things that I wanted to see also. I've been on him since I got elected to make changes to that plaza. It's a focal point of our city. You know, everybody sees when they drive through there, you know. We all want it to look better. So what do? You know, it's a decision. It's a hard decision. And I'll also say that we as council have rules and laws to follow in making this decision also. We have we can't just vote from our heart. We have rules that we have to follow also. So there are certain criteria that we have to use per law to follow to make this decision also. And I'm confident that, I know I've been doing tons of research, and I know everybody up here has, so I'm sure we'll come to the right decision, I hope. So I appreciate everybody that's been reaching out to me and all our council members, and I appreciate everybody that's come to the meeting. And then we will, going forward, hopefully make this the decision soon. So, we got about a minute left. Yes, ma'am?
I had a question. Would a petition help? I mean, if somebody went around and got signatures from everybody that was against it or for it?
That's not one of the factors we can use to make a decision.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
So, all right. Okay, with that, I'll conclude the end of the workshop, and then we'll have our meeting at 7 if anybody wants to stick around, okay? We're gonna swear in our new clerk at 6:45 if anybody wants to stick around for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
To end workshop, yeah. Scott?